I'll start with a summary. Half-duplex, bad. Full-duplex, great. But we have to talk about the why and wherefore for the exam. Let's get into it. Here's where we're headed. We're going to start talking about an older technology with half-duplex and the CSMA CD algorithm. Then we'll talk about its replacement, which uses full-duplex and turns off that algorithm. And then, why in the world do we have to talk about that? Well, it's still on CCNA for actually a couple of good reasons. And we'll talk about that as our ending topic in this video. Those topics, you'll find the equivalent content in the books in Volume 1, Chapter 2, at the very end of the last section of that chapter, so it's basically the end of the chapter. Speaking of the books, stick around to the end of the video. It's like we're in a study group together. I'll give you that usual kind of advice about what to do here. There is a study task here on the channel, as well as there's lots of study and review tasks here in the book because we're at the end of a chapter. All right, let's talk about it. So think back to the early days of Ethernet. They didn't use networking devices. They used coaxial cables with little terminator devices on the end and tap cables in here. So there was a NIC, or network interface card, on each device, each of these 4 PCs, but together all this wiring made one electrical circuit, and there's no networking device between there. In other words, there's no networking device that could possibly apply any logic. There's no CPU and memory in a networking device. It's just a circuit in the PCs. So these PCs had to use some rules in order to use the circuit one at a time, because it turns out with that one circuit and 1980s technology, you could not have multiple senders and receivers at the same time. One talker, all right? So that was the restriction, and Ethernet defined a set of rules so that we'd have only one sender at a time. And that algorithm was called Carrier Sense Multiple Access with Collision Detection, or CSMA CD, and the simplified version of the algorithm is here on this page, and it's basically this. If the LAN is not busy, send. But if it is busy, wait. All right, so we're taking turns. In fact, if you've ever been out in the country and tried to go across a single lane bridge, it's kind of like that. Hey, if somebody else is coming your way on the bridge, don't go across the bridge. But if it's empty, then you can go across the bridge, right? That kind of thing. But when you are sending, listen for collisions, right? Because it turns out, timing-wise, both could listen on the LAN and hear silence, and then both could send, and then you'd overrun each other, and we call that a collision. So if you're sending and there's no collision, hooray, but if you are sending and there is a collision, you're going to back off, wait a while, and try again soon for humans at least, microseconds soon. So that's kind of the sense of what this algorithm was about. Now, here's a more detailed version that gives most of the steps here, but it's the same idea, just in more detail. Listen until silence. In those days, Ethernet, when nothing was being sent, there was no electricity on the cable. So send the frame when the LAN was silent. Then when sending, also listen. Then if a collision occurs, once the collision is detected, you've got this process here at step 4 that says stop sending, send a jamming signal that's kind of like, hey, everybody, we had a collision, back off. And then the host that caused the collision, wait a random time, each hopefully a different random number. They each pick a different random number, and then try again. So let me take you through a bit of the history and some terminology. First off, when a device is using CSMA CD, they're said to be using half-duplex. So the terms half-duplex and full-duplex actually come from WAN technology. So back in that era of the 1980s when all this was happening, there were already terms from wide area networks where if you had 2 devices on a WAN link, and they could both send at the same time, we called that full-duplex. But if there were rules that said only one could send at a time, that was half-duplex, all right? So clearly Ethernet has the CSMA CD algorithm that said, hey, I've got to manage this so only one sender at a time, and so they ended up calling that half-duplex, all right? So far we talked about this 10-base-5 standard, which used a thicker coaxial cable and could run 500 meters. That's the 5 there, 500 total meters with repeaters. And that was great. But it was expensive and the cabling was hard to work with. So when they made an improvement to that standard, they shortened the distance, total distance, to 200, but it was a much thinner coaxial cable. It was much less expensive. It was easier to deploy. But since there was no networking device, there was still no opportunity to avoid CSMA CD, so everybody used half-duplex CSMA CD logic. Then in 1990, by the way, the dates don't really matter. I'm just trying to give you perspective on how quickly this changed over time. 10BASE-T, the first standard that used twisted pair cabling where the device's NIC cabled up to a networking device called a hub. And there's our icon for a hub, but turns out we still needed to use CSMA CD with these hubs. So next, let's talk through the hub logic to give you some perspective on that. Next, I'm going to walk you through 3 scenarios with a hub. Now, hubs repeat signals. That is, they take the electrical signal in, clean it up, and send the same signal out all other ports except the arrival port. But there's no consideration of the frame, there's no consideration of addresses or a decision of where to forward. It's clean up signal, send it out everywhere else. For instance, if PC1 listens, hears silence, and sends in an electrical signal, the hub cleans that up and sends it out over to A and B, the only other ports in the picture. Easy, right? But there's no logic on the hub to prevent things like collisions, so we're still reliant on the endpoints to use CSMA CD. For instance, now I've got PC2 on the bottom left. 1 and 2 want to send, 1 and 2 listen at the same time. They decide to send after hearing silence, and let's say they send their frames at the same time, so they're going to cause a collision. The hub does nothing to prevent it. The hub receives electrical signal and forwards it. So in this case, with these cars representing the electrical signal, the hub receives it in, sends both electrical signals out the other ports. They overlap, causing a collision. PC1 and PC2 can both sense the electrical collision here on those ports as well. So they follow the algorithm and send a jamming signal and wait a random time and try again. All right, so that's how the collision is recognized. So the endpoints, not the networking device, overcome that. Let's just say PC1 then has waited its random time and is ready to send. Here's silence and it sends. Now PC2 is ready to send, but it senses an incoming frame, so it waits a little bit longer. Once that frame is finished arriving, now PC2 hears silence and can send its frame, and it is then repeated out to the other devices without any collision. So there's a few scenarios of what can go on with a hub. With all of this, though, the endpoints have to use CSMA CD. For the exam, though, for a while now, there have been exam topics that kind of encode that you have to know about half-duplex and full-duplex still. Interestingly enough, if you look, say, at the current blueprint, as of when I recorded this, in exam topic 1.3b, there was a phrase, connections, Ethernet shared media. And that's a phrase that refers to the idea that, hey, with the old-style coaxial Ethernet and with hubs, the endpoints are sharing the available bandwidth because they're taking turns. They're using CSMA CD. It's a weird turn of phrase. I wish it was plainer, but it isn't. But now you've heard about the half-duplex part. Next, we'll talk about the good new reality, what everybody uses today, which is full duplex. And by the way, the videos are made to go well with the books. So if you haven't already checked out the books, please do. Here's a great link to use because if you don't have them and you do happen to choose to buy them, I'll make a few extra bucks given back to me by the booksellers. Doesn't cost you anything else, and it's a great way to support the channel. Thanks for that. All right, let's get back into it. So let's talk about how a switch saves the day. PCs 1 and 2 want to send a frame. There they are. They go ahead and send them into the switch. In the switch, it has a CPU, it has memory, it has chips built just for the specific purpose of what switches do. Those are called ASICs, application-specific integrated circuits. And so the switch stores those frames in memory, and rather than blindly forwarding those and overlapping multiple frames on the exit ports, it, I don't know, call me crazy, but it just sends one and holds the other one until the first one's done. And then it sends the second one. And if there's more than that, it then waits to send those. So the idea is that the switch will manage things with its logic and its memory space and completely avoid collisions. Frames that are sent on any one of these links can never cause an electrical collision over on other ports, which is great. So switches avoid collisions. Now, remember the NICs? They formerly had to use CSMA CD, and now they don't have to. They can just send away. So terminology-wise, the setting on the NIC that tells it whether it has to use CSMA CD or not, it's not a toggle that says use CSMA CD or don't use it. It's those terms half and full duplex. So if you find the setting that says I'm currently using half duplex, it means the NIC is using CSMA CD. And if it says I'm using full duplex, it means they're not using CSMA CD. So the endpoints needed to use half or full duplex depending on what they were connected to. So imagine these 4 PCs are now connected to a hub. We want them to use a half duplex setting. Whereas if then you had updated to a switch, we of course would want them to use a full duplex setting. But interestingly, the hub did not have any duplex setting at all. It did not participate in the process, whereas a switch does. It has the ability to think and act with half or full duplex logic, so it's an interface setting on all those ports. And here's the deal. If the endpoint uses full duplex, we want the switch port to use full duplex. We want it to match. So we want full and full on both ends of each link in order for things to work correctly. What you should see today are switches and full duplex everywhere, okay? But just for some perspective, and by the way, these dates don't really matter other than for that perspective. As a reminder, back in 1995, we got 100 base T, and just before 2000, we got to 1,000 base T. But in that era, in 1995, hubs were still common. If you were buying new, you probably bought hubs more often than switches because switches were new and still very expensive compared to hubs. But by the year 2000, switch prices had started coming down. And by the way, switch performance was way, way better than hubs, partly because of this whole duplex thing. So by the year 2005, you could barely find a hub to buy. Switches prices were even lower then. And by 2010, hubs had pretty much disappeared from the market. So here, I recorded this in 2025. These days, what you should expect are endpoints that can use full duplex, the switch ports to use full duplex everywhere. So let's close talking about the exam for a moment. First, there's this weird exam topic in the version 1.1 of the blueprint, exam topic 13B, and this closing phrase, point to point, is the reference that means, hey, switches have point-to-point connections to endpoints. That removes the need for half duplex. There is no need for CSMA CD anymore. All right, so that's how we land on the need to talk about this, but there's also a need just based on how things work in the world. So here's the deal. Modern LAN, all switches, endpoints connected to those switches, every last port, every last endpoint NIC can and should use full duplex. It's just simply better, and it's what's available, and it's been available for decades. All right, so let's use that. But you guessed it, both are available for configuration on devices. So what if we do something not so smart? First off, full and full is where we want to be. It works and it's optimal, but what if down here on the bottom left, we somehow get settings where both the switch port and the matching endpoint, its NIC, are configured for half duplex? Does it even work? And the answer is yes. If you have both of them configured to use half duplex, it works, but it's slower. Why is that? Here's the logic down here. Hey, before either the PC or the switch port sends, it listens. It listens to make sure the other side isn't sending. If the other side is sending, it waits when it doesn't really have to. So each side will wait for the other and just not take advantage of all the capacity. Even worse than that, though, is this idea called a duplex mismatch, where you have the opposite setting on both ends of the link. That can happen between a switch and an endpoint, as in the bottom right of the figure, or even on a switch-to-switch link, and those are even worse. I would say that's an error case. So if I've got a combination of half and full on a link, it works. That is, the interfaces stay up and frames flow, but there are many kinds of problems. So later in our CCNA discussions, we'll talk about duplex mismatches, and that's the whole reason we've got this in CCNA, is that it's not that we wouldn't all want to have a great, perfectly running network with all ports using full duplex. It's that this kind of thing can happen, and you need the skills to recognize it so you can do something about it. All right, study group folks, here's my advice coming out of this video for this topic. Two big ideas. Half duplex means CSMA CD is used by that interface. Full duplex means it is not. All right, make sure you've got those down. But then I'm much more concerned about the big ideas from this video than the minutia. You're going to see this again when we get into the command line interface and show commands about duplex and finding duplex mismatches, which really is something that you should be ready to do for real life as well as the exam. It's something you don't want to have happening in your network. You want better performance. All right, for review here at the channel, I've got a terminology mind map for the entire chapter now. As always, you want to learn it and then have some time or space in between there. And since it's for the entire chapter, I might say give it a little bit more space. I might give it 3, 4, 5 days in here before you do it. And you can use Ethernet LAN as your seed term, and then anything you can remember from all these videos. And of course, it's not going to be bounded in your brain by what you learned in the videos, right? It can be anything you know about Ethernet LANs. It's a good way to exercise your brain. So hopefully you'll enjoy doing that. As always, reading the matching section of the book. It's the very last bit in chapter 2 in the current edition, whose cover you see there. But then it's the end of that chapter, so we've got a lot of great review activity there in the chapter review that you'll find at the end of that chapter. In particular, it says things like, look at the key topics. So inside the chapter, there are icons to the side that say key topic. You can review those there just by flipping the pages and finding those. And there's a PDF with all the key topics in it at the companion website. So you're reviewing a chapter, find the key topic PDF there, go through that. There are flashcards for all the key terms at the companion website as well. And then also the chapter opening, do I know this already quiz questions? Repeat those. Open the chapter, or you can use the practice question app for those as well. Thanks for watching to the very end. It's very much appreciated. If you're ready for the next content video, you can click on the left and move on to the next chapter. But if you want to get one of those review videos out, how about that terminology mind map? You can click over on the right. Hey, thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to you.